as ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTv News, expanding your view.
Hello there, you're welcome to CoreTv News on the hour at 4. My name is Sabena Izuku. The World Health Organization, Margaret Chan, says the Ebola outbreak in West Africa is spreading faster than efforts to control it. She says that the failure to contain the spread of the disease can be catastrophic in terms of lives lost. Chan added that the virus, which has claimed 729 lives in the 4 West African countries since February, could be stopped if well managed. Ebola kills up to 90% of those infected. It spreads by contact with infected blood, bodily fluids, organs, or contaminated environments. About 70 people are currently being tracked by the rapid response team due to their exposure to the Ebola patient that died in Lagos. The Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Jide Idris, made a disclosure at the media briefing. Abiola Oluwole's report is presented from our studio.
The death of an Ebola victim in Lagos on July 25th has created panic among Nigerians on a possible outbreak of the deadly disease in the country. Speaking on the efforts of government to check the spread of the virus in the country, Jide Idris says an emergency operations center has been activated in Lagos in collaboration with the federal government and World Health Organization.
The key activities of this center include, as an update, the establishment of an isolation unit in Lagos. This unit is a standalone facility that has a one-way flow until the health worker is decontaminated. It has dedicated water, sewage, and power supply. The healthcare workers associated with Lagos, this facility, have received training on the provision of care to Ebola virus disease patients. Special emphasis of the training has also included the protection of patients and those who work with them through good clinical practice and infection prevention and control measures in the isolation unit. This type of training is planned to be replicated in other states as part of our preparedness plan.
While affirming that the rapid response team is currently on contact tracing to ensure that all contacts exposed to the late Ebola victim are closely monitored. Idris cautioned private mortuary operators from attending to corpses without certified death certificate.
I'm using this opportunity again to all the private mortuaries in Lagos State. I think they need to be very careful now. Any case that has no death certificate or any suspicious death certificate should not be handled by them. It should allow us rest.
So many claimants already in the country, both orthodox and non-orthodox healthcare providers, claiming that they have cure for Ebola. So the federal government and here state government, we want to declare that people, all Nigerians that are doing this should desist from doing this, because Ebola is not HIV. Ebola is a killer. It will wipe out everybody if it comes to their home, the healing home, including those healing.
The commissioner said suspected cases will continue to be monitored until the end of the incubation period of 21 days from their exposure to the traveler who was diagnosed with the Ebola virus disease.
The Nigerian authorities have placed 69 people under surveillance as part of steps to prevent the spread of the Ebola virus in the country. 2 persons have also been quarantined while all entry points remain on red alert. The government, however, insists that there is still no cause for concern.
As at today, 59 persons altogether are either under quarantine or under surveillance. Those who are going to attend the same meeting in Calabar are all in Lagos under surveillance. All those who were in the same plane were going for that meeting. Actually, immediately the next day they had to be brought back. through a special arrangement brought back to be under, so currently they're under surveillance. The staff or persons who took care of him before the diagnosis, who may not have exercised all the necessary care, are also presently under quarantine. So that is what we're doing, and we said they will remain under this surveillance until a period of 3 weeks at least has actually elapsed, because 3 weeks is the maximum incubation period. So it's only 3 weeks from the date of contact that we can certify them after testing them as well as they are free of the disease. So that is the situation.
So far, the Ministry of Health has not reported any additional infection anywhere in Nigeria apart from the person who came into the country and died. So far, there has not been any reported fresh case of any infection. What the ministry has stated clearly is that every step is being taken to control spread by ensuring that all people that had contact with the victim are monitored, quarantined, or surveilled to ensure that they also do not spread the virus just in case they're infected. But at the moment, there has not been any single additional incident of infection that has been reported. And this is important because we're beginning to see some panic reports, particularly in the social media, making all sorts of claims. And this is important because for me and for all of us, the media must be extremely professional.
Still on Ebola disease, the Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has urged the federal government to shut down its borders with affected West African countries to prevent an outbreak of Ebola in the country. Fashola said Ebola is no longer a local problem, but an international one that requires urgent measures in place to prevent its spread. He said the disease is easily transmittable across the borders and boundaries. Fashola added that all residents who had contacts with the dead librarian had been tested and that the results were negative. Official commercial banks in Benue State have joined the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress ongoing strike, which commenced on the 30th of July. The strike was to protest the deduction of the staff salary and the non-payment of 3 years transport allowance owed them. The workers were also protesting the non-implementation of the full minimum wage by the state government. Customers were stranded at the various banks in Makurdi following the picketing of the banks by the union officials. The use of female suicide bombers have become a worrying development in the country. Recently, a 10-year-old girl strapped with a suicide bomber's explosive was intercepted by the police alongside with her 18-year-old sister. Speaking on a flagship program called Digest, human rights activist Joe Odimaki and the public affairs analyst Dipo Olayoko says a proactive measure is needed to stop the act.
Anybody that fired himself or herself up with bombs will know the likely effect. That is why there's a need for us to begin to study the psychology of these people. How did they get to that level? What made them to be hopeless? What made them to be so wicked as not to die alone, but to take some people along in a very brutal manner? Because bomb explosion is not a tea party. At times after the thing, you will see body parts scattered and littered in the place. So I think what we need to do, it should be the concern of everybody. How do we make sure that, yes, already we have, a lot of them are in their camps. And you never can tell, maybe some of them are in the next building. So how do we make sure that they don't visit maximum damage on Nigerians? So
the recent female bombers we've been having has assumed a worrisome and dangerous dimension. And if one comes to think of the fathers, there's something called Stockholm syndrome. It happened in Sweden when a bank was raided and some people were held hostage. And something called victim emotional bonding. The victim had to bond with the abuser. So thinking of the fact that our Chibok girls have now spent 109 days, indoctrination can take place. that victim emotional bonding can take place. The abuser can be seen as a friend, and whatever the abuser pumps into the brain of the victim might be taken as the gospel truth. And no wonder we see even men disguised as women. Women are vulnerable. They need to be protected. And more than ever, government must do all within its constitutional responsibilities, which is protecting lives and property.
Determined to conduct a credible election in Osun State, the Independent National Electoral Commission has created additional 3,379 voting units. This is contained in a statement made available to newsmen in Osogbo by Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner Olusegun Agbaje. He emphasized that the additional polling units are designed to ensure quick accreditation of voters during the August 9 governorship election. Agbaje informs that prior to the creation of this new polling units, the state had 3,010, adding that out of 1,407,222 persons were registered as voters, 960,124 had collected their permanent voters' cards and will be eligible to vote, while 450,560 had yet to collect theirs. According to him, 745,828, representing 53% of the total registered voters, are females, while 661,394, which is 47% of the voters, are males. The Resident Electoral Commissioner also warned members of the National Youth Service Corps and the officials of the Commission against allowing themselves to be compromised by the politicians. He says anybody caught engaging in any act which violates the electoral law will be handed over to the police for prosecution. Nigeria's new Inspector General of Police has assumed office with a pledge to intensify fight against crime. Suleiman Abad took over from his predecessor, Mohammed Abubakar, at the brief ceremony at the police headquarters in Abuja. The new Inspector General of Police also promised to build on the reforms of his predecessor.
Myself and Suleiman Abba is my junior brother, by all standards. I have guided him through to the best I can do through the service. And today, I'm handing over to him as the Inspector General of Police. And I have the belief that Abba will do his best in the circumstances he found himself in the Nigeria Police. And I believe he's an officer who listens, who takes advice, who is smart, who have the ability and the capacity to be able to run the force. So therefore, I will beg officers and men of the police who are in service to please, as you supported me, as you stood by me, as you partner with me, please give him the same cooperation, if not more or higher than you have given me.
Yes. The recent upsurge in security challenges will have my full attention. I'm committed to address these issues and reaffirm the high standards of performance for which the Nigeria Police is nationally and internationally acclaimed. In consonance with the President's transformation agenda, I will develop and implement constructive policing strategies for the maintenance of a stable democracy and economic growth. My team will also ensure that policing becomes truly intelligence-led, law enforcement and crime prevention initiatives are integrated and supportive of each other. We will do whatever it takes. And those who know me will tell you, I don't say for joke. I will do whatever is necessary to bring the excesses of violent criminals to a halt.
Shortly after the break, we'll bring you stories outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
APC. Change. Brighter.
You can now watch CoreTv News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTv Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTv, leave a space, then News. CoreTv News, a 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a 72-hour ceasefire in Gaza conflict, United States Secretary of State John Kerry and the United Nations has announced. Kerry said the two sides will begin to choose at 8 a.m. local time and that Israelis and Palestinians would enter talks in Cairo. The top U.S. diplomat said the ceasefire would last for 72 hours unless extended, but Kerry warned that the ceasefire was not final.
Israel and the Palestinian factions have agreed that they are now prepared to implement a 72-hour unconditional humanitarian ceasefire. Israel will be able to continue its defensive operations for those tunnels that are behind its lines, and the Palestinians will be able to receive food, medicine, and additional humanitarian assistance, as well as to be able to tend to their wounded, bury their dead. This will last for 72 hours, 3 days, precious time. It is a lull of opportunity, a moment for the sides, the different factions to be able to come together with the State of Israel in an effort to try to address ways to find a sustainable ceasefire.
Over to Gaza. For Gaza Strip, nearly 2 million residents. The damage to the Seoul power plant has worsened an already strangled infrastructure. Residents in need of medical care are the most affected. The report.
60-year-old Anam suffers from pulmonary fibrosis and depends on oxygen therapy to breathe. Ever since Gaza's Seoul power plant was knocked out of commission by Israeli shelling, she has no more electricity at home to run our medical devices, and the local hospital, which runs on generators, isn't an option either.
When I go to the hospital, I don't find a place to sit to get oxygen. Where should I go? I don't know where to go.
Hassan says they can't afford to run their own generator.
If I want to run the generator, I need 1.5 litres of gasoline every hour, and she needs to have electricity for 17 hours a day. So the cost of gasoline wouldn't be less than about $45 a day, and we can't afford that.
The Gaza power plant was hit several times by military strike. It's finally shut down after shells hit its fuel tanks, which erupted into massive fires. Technicians say it could take a year to repair the extensive damage, and Gaza can no longer depend on electricity from Israel.
Power lines feeding the Gaza Strip with electricity from Israel were also bombed. And they're not back to normal yet because there's no coordination.
Israel is waging war to destroy a network of tunnels in the Gaza Strip it says are used for attacks against the Jewish state. Smugglers have used those same tunnels to sneak petrol into the enclave blockaded by land, sea and air embargo. For the Strip's nearly 2 million residents, the damage to the power plant has only worsened what was already a strangled civilian infrastructure.
And that's it on the news on the hour. Please do join me at the top of the hour for more. I am Sabena Izuku, and thank you very much indeed for watching.